Kalalau Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS Ruel, blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity and in honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Barakatah. Today's lesson, ELAM'S growing arsenal. And when it comes to Elam, they are known as the East Indians. And when it comes to the Elamites of India, they have the #1 birth per day, according to this Google statement. It says approximately 67,385 babies are born every day in India. Also, when it comes to the heathen custom of dreadlocks, that originated from Elam and Hinduism. And when it comes to you Israelites, you are not to learn the ways of these other nations. That is not your custom. But with that being said, here I have an RT.com article about India that says, launch power inside India's growing missiles arsenal. Leveraging cutting-edge technology, New Delhi is advancing hypersonic capabilities to cement its place among the world's ballistic leaders. Many countries have leveled the playing field in the possession of nuclear capability. That's why the scripture of Joel 3:10 has said, let the weak say, I am strong. But further reading says, speaking at an event in Bengaluru last Sunday, Indian Air Force IAF Chief Marshal A.P. Singh disclosed new details about India's strikes against Pakistan during their unprecedented standoff in May this year. For the first time since the conflict, Singh publicly confirmed that the IAF has shot down 5 Pakistani fighter jets along with a large airborne platform, possibly an ELAM'S, which stands for Electronic Intelligence, or AEW&C, which stands for Airborne Early Warning and Control aircraft, from a distance of about 300 kilometers. Further reading says the IAF chief described it as the largest ever recorded surface-to-air kill that we can talk about. Singh also highlighted the deterrent power of the S-400 air defense system and the precision of BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles, which he said played a game-changing role in the conflict. And when it comes to those modern-day worldly smiths, they are busy creating those instruments of mass destruction. With that being said, let's go over to the scripture of Isaiah 54:16. Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. Right, the Lord created the smith. A smith in the Middle Ages was also known as a blacksmith who worked on metals by the process of heating, hammering, and forging via a furnace that consisted of a special hearth that bloweth the coals in the fire. This refers to the breath blown by the bellows in order to heat up the furnace, even hotter for molding and shaping. Ancient smiths designed and brought forth those weapons of war in its early development. But in these modern times, those weapons are more lethal and destructive due to its megaton power that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. That instrument is the gift of the missile given unto Esau Edom for the coming war of Armageddon. Hebrew word Armageddon. The ancient smith designed primitive weapons and armor in ancient times, but the modern day smith, on the other hand, brings forth those instruments of propulsion and of mass destruction that have the capacity to waste and destroy everything in its path upon detonation. The modern day Smith now creates hypersonic missiles of mass destruction that are equipped with sophisticated guidance systems. The modern day Smith, on the other hand, is a scientist that creates deadly weapons of propulsion and of mass destruction. And the scripture of Ecclesiasticus, Sirach 38 in verse 28, also speaks of the Smith. Let's go over to that scripture. Ecclesiasticus of Sirach 38 and 28. The smith also sitting by the anvil, and considering the iron work, the vapor of the fire wasteth his flesh, and he fighteth with the heat of the furnace. The noise of the hammer and the anvil is ever in his ears, right, as he's striking to make his instrument of work. And his eyes look still upon the pattern of the thing that he maketh. He setteth his mind to finish his work, and watches to polish it perfectly. That's right. And when it comes to these smiths or blacksmiths, they are artists of their trade. That's why it went on to say, and his eyes look still upon the pattern of the thing that he maketh. He setteth his mind to finish his work, and watches to polish it perfectly. Right, the smith or blacksmith is known to work on metals by the process of heating, hammering, and forging via a furnace that consisted of a special hearth. A blacksmith is a metalsmith who creates objects primarily from wrought iron or steel, but sometimes from other metals by forging the metal. And those blacksmiths were relied on to produce and maintain the tools needed to survive. And when it came to those skills of the blacksmith, they made the Industrial Revolution possible. But now, those modern day smiths use their skills to make those lethal weapons of mass destruction. Now they are adding propulsion and guidance systems. Once that CHIP of Revelation 13:16 through 18 is implemented upon the world, then that third woe of utter destruction cometh quickly. And that is found upon Revelation 11 and 14. Here we have that scripture of Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. The Second World War has passed, but the third world war of destruction cometh quickly. Right, because you have continued tensions among the nations, and before you know it, once they pass that CHIP, World War III is at the doorstep quickly. As soon as that third world war comes, expect those sons and daughters not to return. Women wanted equal rights in the society, so now they must now enlist to fight in the worst world war to come. The proposed legislation to draft women will come, and it will be at their doorstep. World War III will be a war based upon the world's deadliest weapons. And many technological weapons shall be used in that greater war to come, as well as the army of the 200 million horsemen that's mentioned upon the scriptures. Babylon the Great shall become a vast desert due to those 200 million missiles. The Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is a man of war, according to Exodus 15 and 3. And the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is the best strategist when it comes to war. And he is the one that is stirring up these nations for war. The arrows of the nations will totally annihilate Babylon the Great, and none shall miss. according to the scripture of 2 Esdras 16 and 13. Let's go over to that scripture. 2 Esdras 16 and 13. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Hypersonic missiles will be guided by the Spirit of the Lord, Yahweh wa Yahushai, to fall upon their strategic targets. None shall miss to be shot into the ends of the world, meaning unto that Western Hemisphere, unto that new world of America. In time, the nations shall put themselves in array against Babylon the Great, which is America. This is all prophecy. With that being said, let's go over to Jeremiah 50 and verse 14. Jeremiah 50 and verse 14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows. For she has sinned against the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai. And the etymology of array, which is a verb, as you can see here, according to its mid-14th century online definition, also means a martial troops arranged, an army for battle. Late 14th century, to put things in order, arrange, get something ready, prepare, equip, fit out, put clothing on, adorn, or decorate, as in the case of the generals. It also means to put in order, ready, or to place in order. Right, an array of troops pertain to the strategic formations of soldiers organized for battle. You see? Modern day Babylon speaks of America, and those that bend the bow is in reference to the silos letting loose those arrows of destruction. The bow represents the silo and the arrow represents the missile. And whether the silo is located on land, sea, or in space, those arrows will be let loose to destroy modern day Babylon the Great. But when it comes to the building of these destructive arrows by these nations, that's just adding to the army of the horsemen. The army of the horsemen is found upon the scripture of Revelation 9 and 16, which speaks of those 200 million missiles that will be let loose in order to destroy Babylon the Great. No arrow shall be spared on that day of judgment. As soon as World War III is declared, that is the end of Esau, Edom's wicked rulership on earth. And then afterwards, Israel, true Israel, which consists of so-called Negroes, Latinos, Tainos, and Native American Indians, take power to run the whole world in righteous order. But first must come great tribulation, the CHIP of Revelation 13, 16 through 18, and then that greater war. But as far as these nations creating all these weapons of mass destruction, that's just adding to the army of the horsemen. You see? But with that being said, Kal Alam Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Bahashem, Rahak, Wadash, and double honors to the elders of Jemas Ruel, blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing this word in all sincerity and in honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Barakatah. Shalom.